Civil AccuDraw, Delta X and Delta Y. On the Civil AccuDraw toolbar, it is this one right here that's called DX and DY. So to demonstrate this one, I'm going to come out and select my Play Smart Line tool. I'm going to come back and make sure my AccuDraw is checked on and I'm in my DX and DY mode. Now I'm just going to come out and left click to start my line, and you'll notice now that my DX and my DY are now 0. So now when I place my next vertex, it's going to be coming the distance off of that point. So if I know my X direction is 100 and my Y direction is 100, I can type those in. You'll notice right now that my DX value is highlighted blue. So if I type anything in right now, it's going to type it in the DX field. To switch back and forth between the fields, you can just hit the tab key, and that will switch you between the two fields. So now if I want my DX value to be 100, since it's highlighted in that field, I can just type in 100 and hit enter to lock it in. And then if my DY field needs to be 100, I can type in 100 there and lock that one in. Now when I move around my mouse, you can see I have my fields locked in at 100 feet each. If that's what I want, I will just left click to accept it, and now I can enter my next vertex. Maybe this time in the Y direction I want to go a negative value, so I'm just going to drag my cursor down and to the right, and maybe this time I want my X direction to be 300, so I can type in 300, hit enter to lock it in. And maybe I want my DY direction to be a negative 150. So because I have my smart key-ins turned on, I don't have to put in a negative before my value because it knows I'm going, because that's the way I pulled my mouse. So now I can just type in a 150, hit enter. My two values are locked in, so now if I move my mouse around, you can see it's locked in at that position. If that's what I want, I'll just left click to accept it. If I'm finished with my line, I can right click to reset it. This will also work if I'm going a negative direction in the X value. So let's say I start my line here. I'm just going to left click to start it. I'm going to drag it in the direction I want to go. You'll notice my X direction is a negative value right now. I could type in the minus sign for negative value, but if I just want to make my line 450 feet, I can just type in 450, hit the enter key to lock it in. Now when I move my mouse, you can see I have that 450 feet locked in. If I want my Y value to be a 0, if I get close to the horizontal plane, you'll notice it's going to snap to that plane. And if I look at my heads up display, my DY value is 0 right now. If that's what I want, I can just hit my enter key to lock that value in. Now I have them both locked in. Now I can just left click to accept that and right click to reset the tool. Another thing you can do with Civil AccuDraw, I'm just going to come out here and start a line. I'm going to come down here, and for my X direction, maybe I'll enter 470, hit enter to lock that value in. Maybe for my Y direction I want a negative 90. Since I have my cursor pulled in the direction I want it to go, I could just of course hit 90 and hit enter to lock that in. Now when I move my mouse, you'll notice both of these directions are locked in. That doesn't mean I have to keep these values that way. Maybe I want to change my Y direction to a negative 100. So like I said earlier, if you just hit your tab key, you can toggle through those fields. So now I can just come down to the 90, type in 100, hit enter to lock it in. Now you can see that it changed that Y value to a negative 100. So even if a value is locked, you can still change that value as long as you don't left click to accept those values. Another thing you can do with Civil AccuDraw, maybe I don't have a value for my Y direction. Maybe I want to snap it to another object. If you have your value locked and you want to unlock that value, make sure you're in the field you want to unlock. I want to unlock my Y direction. So I'll get in my Y direction. Then on your keyboard, if you hit your end key, it will unlock that value and now you can move it. So maybe I wanted to come up here and snap it on this horizontal line somewhere. Since my key point snap is turned on, I can just select a key point, left click to accept it, and I've snapped it to that line. If I'm done with my tool, I can right click to reset it, and I have my line. So that's what the Delta X, Delta Y Civil AccuDraw tool does. It allows you to place a line or something else out there based on a 0, 0 coordinate from the last vertex you entered.